I think now I'm going to open up the session for any kind of queries that you might have. So we just spend say around 15 minutes in the questions. So please. Okay, yeah, I get your point. See, usually what happens is in personality development programs that you see which regularly happen, the focus is on communication. The focus usually ends up being on presentation, on how to dress up, or voice modulation and stuff like that. Here, we're not only focusing on that. The communication skills is definitely a part of the module, but also at the same time, communication is going to be about verbal and non-verbal both. It is going to be about things like, it's okay that your kid is an introvert, like I told you before. It's good to be an introvert, they just express themselves differently. Like I told you before, these concepts are the concepts that are acquired during these ages. There have been researches on it, there's Constructivism, there's developmental research on it. So the idea here, why I like calling it a mind development program, is also because of the simple reason that it's going to feed a lot to your mind. It's going to give a lot of curiosity, a lot of creativity. It's going to facilitate acquisition of all of these concepts during those crucial years when kids actually acquire these. So that's why, just a second, that's why I think I would want to call it a mind development program more than a personality development program. No, I'm not saying that. See, introversion and extroversion are just two sides of the spectrum, right? Extrovert students or extrovert kids may be the ones who like being the center of attention. You know, maybe they like being the center of the group. Introverts may just like opening up a book and reading it, or you know, not really going out too much and not really engaging in too much of a stranger talk or a free play. Both are good, both are intelligent, they just express themselves differently. So extroverts might express themselves by shouting or by singing or by dancing. Introverts might just express themselves by, you know, writing, or by just, you know, reading, or by having one-on-one talk and not really addressing 10 people in the room. But they both will express. So I'm not saying that I'm trying to make your child from an introvert to an extrovert. No, that is the last thing that we at Smart Shrubs want to do. We want to identify whether your child is an introvert or an extrovert, and then, you know, strengthen it so that they become more expressive in their own personal way with their own personality. We don't want to change personalities here, we just want to shape it up. Brainstorming, okay, that's again will be a part of problem solving and communication skills. Like I told you, it's a progressive program. So previous module will build a base for the next one. So when I talk about something like problem solving, brainstorming is a very important part. You have to learn to brainstorm, you have to learn to take different perspectives, you have to learn whether you can actually really see what others are perceiving. Different perceptions are important. So brainstorming is not only about my idea first, it's about the fact that, you know, yeah, it's about the fact that, okay, fine, there are 5 people here, or 5 other children, or 5 other kids, and they all have their own perspectives. One is good, one is okay, one might work, one might not work. None is bad, honestly speaking. So we'll reach a consensus and then finally we'll solve the problem collectively. And brainstorming, you know, just to tell you a heads up, a brainstorming session can happen with yourself as well. I may just have 10 ideas about one thing and I may just brainstorm with myself. So that is also part of it. You have to learn the art of really being able to look at things with different vantage points. So yes, brainstorming is definitely part of it, yes. Alright, as long as you're asking about individual sessions, see, the idea here is for your kid to acquire these concepts along with other children. So if I make your child just sit separately and learn something on his or her own, that's going to be like, I'm preaching. That is not what the idea of Smart Shrubs is. The idea of Smart Shrubs is that we facilitate acquisition of these concepts. So minimum batch that we have is of around 5 to 6 kids. The maximum is about 9 to 10. If you're worried about an individual attention, yes, individual focus will be there, for which, like I told you before, we will have sessions with each and every parent, for each and every participant. We'll together identify what are your concern areas or you think are the weakness areas of your kid, and what are the strength areas of your kid. Work on strengthening the strengths and work on letting weaknesses just be there, not become hurdles in strengthening the strengths, like I told you. So no individual session will happen until and unless you pick up any psychometric test. So if you do take a psychometric test for your child, then of course we will have the results. I will personally give you a counseling session, explain the results to you, and where that result leads your kid to is something that we will have as an individual, but the rest of the sessions will happen in a batch. So for information's sake, there are 2 batches that we have currently. Maximum, I told you, 10 students each. Everyday classes will happen, and we finish the whole batch within 30 to 35 days. So I think before 15th of May you should get free if you're worried about really vacation starting. Since a few questions came up, just to tell you a little about what Constructivism is all about again. See, the idea behind Constructivism school of thought is that children should construct their own reality. They should be able to construct their own environment. Now, psychologists who are proponents of Constructivism have been struggling and have been trying to make it a part of formal education system, at least in states in US. But to be really honest, there are not many schools that are actually doing it there as well, because they find it a little difficult. When you have a prescribed curriculum of math and in English and you want to focus on that, then how do you let kids construct their own reality? If there is a formula or there is an equation, they have to learn that. They can't out of the blue moon construct that equation, right? Or they can't construct the rules of grammar. They are there. So, which is to say that formal education is very important. But at the same time, the idea behind Constructivism is you want to go beyond the formal education system. You want your kids to learn not only rules, not only things that every kid learns, but much beyond that. You want your kid to learn creativity. If I look at something from one vantage point and the other person is looking at it from a different vantage point, take up different perspectives. So maybe for one particular topic I have one opinion, somebody else will have another opinion, which is absolutely fine. I should be able to take that opinion and take that perspective, give my perspective as well, and be okay with it. So Constructivism is all about when kids sit together in a batch, they come up with things together. So supposedly we take up, say, creativity. So I ask them, just do something with a box of pencils. What do they do together with that box of pencils? How will they express themselves, creatively in a different manner? Not really, kids usually nowadays end up learning PowerPoint presentations by the time they're in 3rd grade. It's really no big deal. Or, using Prezis is no big deal. But really coming up with out-of-box ideas and thinking in a much bigger perspective is what we're going to try and do here. So Constructivism is all about that. See, it builds from each and every school. So when I talk about developmental psychology, I say that there are researches that say that these concepts are acquired during these ages. And when I say that I am basing it also on the principles of positivist psychology, I mean that there is enough negativity around. There is enough number of negative words that we use every day. So we want that kids should not learn from subtraction, they should learn from addition. Addition is positive. Define their own questions, define their own reality. When I say define their own questions and realities, if I ask you a question, you will focus only for that question's answer. You won't really focus on other things around it. We want that kids should focus on everything, so that finally it's a convergence and a divergence, both. It's not only about, reaching that one point in a more stereotypical way, writing only that one answer. So that's how all three schools of thoughts will be compiled together for this program. Yes, definitely. They should, right? I mean, competition is too high right now. And God knows by the time your kids grow up and they want to enter college or they start working, you have to have innovative ways of thinking.
So, should they get paper and pencil?
Nothing.
When you teach them?
No. Like I told you, I'm not really going to teach them, I'm going to facilitate. So there's no teaching or preaching happening. Secondly, all the material that we will require, we will get it by ourselves. Your kids just have to get the folders that I'm giving you, just for keeping their own sheets, making sure they have a collection of their own work at one place safe, and that's about it. Otherwise, all the material is something that we get because we know what module we're doing at what time, so you don't have to get into that hassle at all of going and buying stationery and stuff like that. And please, this is a facilitative program, a progressive program, so no teaching like any other tuition teacher is happening here. We're facilitating the sessions. We are letting children construct and learn on their own, but we're just helping and boosting it. So yes. Okay. 2 points that you have to remember there. Progressive would mean that every module that you do today will be a base for the next module. So if I am doing communication as the first thing, that means it forms a base for all of the rest modules that we're going to do. So that's why we do communication first. The reason we do morality, ethics and justice in the end is because morality, ethics and justice is complex, most complex in fact of all of these things to understand, to acquire. And once we are more self-aware, we are more emotionally intelligent, we have higher self-esteem, we understand what happiness and optimism is all about, and that is when we can actually learn what real morality, ethics, values and justice is. So that is what I mean when I say it's a progressive program. And the second point is that, like I've mentioned again and again, I am not going to teach, I'm going to facilitate. So when I say progressive, it also means internal progression. It also means that the kid's mind is progressing from one stage to another, from one concept to another, as and when they're constructing their own reality, as and when they're growing up by their minds psychologically. So 2 reasons why we call it a progressive program. Okay. 13-year-old, I'd say when it comes to choosing a better job or earning more money, your kid will definitely choose the right profession that your kid wants. It's not about getting a good job, it's about choosing the right profession. It's about doing what you love the most. It's about...
I want him to be a lawyer. We are all of us are lawyers.
Which is great. If your kid wants to be a lawyer, then he should be allowed to be a lawyer.
But he doesn't want to be a lawyer. He's interested in singing.
So why would you not let him be your singer?
Too much of struggle.
Okay. Since you're lawyers, I'll pick up your example specifically. And I can guarantee you this. When you studied law, you struggled enough with the studies. When you were trying to set up your own firm, if you have one, or when you were trying to be a successful lawyer, I'm sure that was a struggle in itself because you were trying to set yourself up, to establish yourself. any profession you choose, you have to struggle a little because you're a naive first and then you finally become an expert in that particular profession. But choosing the right profession is the first step. Choosing the right strength is the first step. If I have chosen to be a psychologist, then I know that back then I realized that I probably don't want to get into medicine, I probably don't want to get into law, I probably don't want to get into finance, because these are not the things which are my strength areas, or I just don't want to do them. That's not going to make me happy. What will make me happy is doing psychology. So I chose it at the right time, and today I would say that I did the right thing, I took the right decision back then. So that's why a 13-year-old through the program will become much more self-aware, will know what the strength areas are, will know what he or she likes.